Hello, we are announcing a brand new giveaway for 75,000 subscribers. All you have to do is obviously follow me. We are giving away one lightsaber from Lightsabers. They are sponsoring this giveaway, so what you have to do is go to the pinned comment down below, follow Lightsabers on Instagram, like their image, and tag 2 of your friends, and you will be entered into our giveaway. We will be doing this giveaway until we hit 75,000 subscribers here on PPSW. Thank you again for your continuous support. Our story begins inside the Chancellor's office, inside of the Republic Executive Building. Mace Windu was the only survivor of 4 council members that came to this location. Saesee Tiin, Agan Kolar, and Kit Fisto were slaughtered by the Dark Lord of the Sith. Windu was the only one able to keep up with his ferocious speed and his dedicated offense. Windu's use of a pod assisted him in defeating the Sith Lord. If he hadn't been able to use his gift in the Force, then he would have failed. Windu was able to draw on the dark side of the Force, leading him to pushing Sidious down to the ground and defeating him. The Dark Lord tried defending himself, and ended up electrocuting himself because of Windu's quick actions. Sidious tried to make it look like the Jedi were taking over, and he actively was trying to fool Anakin into falling for this deception. It worked. Anakin pleaded with Windu that it wasn't the Jedi way, only having 48 hours beforehand executed an innocent prisoner. His hypocrisy was through the roof, and Windu, while not aware of Anakin's actions against his former friend Dooku, was not having it. He ignored Anakin's pleas and raised his lightsaber above his head. Anakin, in a split-second reaction, grabbed his lightsaber from his belt and swung at Master Windu. The two of their blades slammed against each other. Windu was taken aback by the actions of Skywalker. Their blades glided against each other, leaving an ear-piercing ring. Windu looked at Skywalker with a crease in his eyebrows, trying to figure out where Anakin's heart was. In this moment, he realized how dark Anakin was, how far and how quickly he had fallen to the dark side. But he had this immense power about him. Windu saw, out of the corner of his eyes, Sidious raise his hands. He knew what this meant. Sidious was going to try and destroy him. Windu took one of his hands off his blade and shoved it forward with the Force, pushing Skywalker back as his boots slid across the floor of the Chancellor's office. Windu saw Sidious's eyes widen, and before he could defend himself, Windu spun around and sliced through his neck, killing him in an instant. Master Windu turned his attention back towards Skywalker and gripped his lightsaber tighter, stepping away from the edge of the window. Anakin's eyes tilted down towards Sidious's body, which slouched over with no life in it. He spoke out.
What have you done?
I have destroyed the Sith. What have you done? Throwing your lot in with him? You're no Jedi.
You'll pay for what you've done.
I don't fear you, Skywalker. You had restored my faith in you. And now it seems you need one last lesson.
Anakin's face was covered in anger. The sadness and the tension that sat within him before he came to the office dissipated, and all that was left was rage. Windu could see it, and he could also feel it. He knew what he was doing. Mace was a smart Jedi. He knew that Anakin would get angry, and Mace would simply use his anger to destroy Skywalker. He had no intention of killing him, but if it came down to it, then he would do what he must. Stopping Sidious saved the Republic. Stopping Skywalker would save the Jedi. Anakin ran forward. Windu bounced back quickly in defense. The two of their blades slammed across each other. Windu had a slight advantage from time to time, but he allowed Anakin to bellow in his anger, to try and use it against him. The angrier Skywalker got, the more powerful Windu became, blocking every swing and then swinging the tide of the battle around in his own hands. Windu was winded from the fight with Sidious, but Skywalker was no Sidious. He was powerful, but his impatience would get the best of him. Windu pushed Anakin into the corridor where the first battle started, and then Windu landed a hit, jarring Anakin from his confident poise. Windu spun around and used the Force to throw Skywalker from his feet and through the room onto the control panel. The blast of the Force was strong enough that it shattered the Chancellor's computer, creating a loud combustion within the panel. This was a calculated strike made by Windu. He knew that all the data on the security cameras were inside of that computer, and now they were lost. Windu stepped forward, his robes flowing behind him, as he held his blade by his side. Anakin fell off the computer console and saw the 3 Jedi in front of him. He was filled with instant regret, but when he looked up, he saw Windu. The Jedi Master of the Order had blood in his eyes. Windu stopped, seeing Anakin rise up, as Anakin launched himself back into combat with Windu. The Master of the Order pulled Anakin around and threw him back against a wall. Anakin was fighting for his life, his speed keeping pace with Windu's, but the experience of a Jedi like Master Windu was much more than anything Anakin Skywalker had to offer. His darkness disappeared after seeing what Palpatine had done to the other Jedi. Skywalker heard the sound of clone troopers, their running could be heard audibly. Windu saw the clones enter the office. Commander Fox told the men to fan out, but they were all taken aback by the sight of 2 fighting Jedi. Fox ordered the men to raise their weapons, keeping their guns facing towards the 2 Jedi. Windu beat down on Anakin's blade. Skywalker lost his balance and fell backwards. He held his lightsaber over his head, defending himself. Windu smacked down on him 1, 2, 3 times, and when the 3rd strike landed, the lightsaber flipped out of his hands and landed on the floor next to him. Windu pointed pointed a blade down at Skywalker's throat and then looked up to Commander Fox.
Commander, arrest this man for treason against the Galactic Republic. He's the one who executed the Chancellor.
Commander Fox lunged forward with cuffs. Anakin's face was filled with shock, but Windu didn't care. If Anakin was to be as bold as to challenge him in a fight, then he'd pay for it. But because the Jedi didn't harbor feelings for revenge, Windu would just allow everything to play out naturally. As Commander Fox cuffed Skywalker, and a couple other guards came and picked him up, Windu spoke up to all of them.
Commander, on behalf of the Jedi Order and the Jedi High Council, I hereby revoke Anakin Skywalker from military status within the Grand Army of the Republic. He is also removed from the Jedi Order and no longer holds the rank of Jedi Knight. Skywalker is a traitor to the Republic and is no longer military personnel. He will be prosecuted as a separatist ally.
Yes, sir.
Commander Fox nodded his head at the Jedi General as he pulled out his pistol and shoved it into Skywalker's back and pushed him forward.
You disgust me. We all thought you were one of us. Then take this traitor away.
Mace looked over at Anakin's lightsaber and used the Force to pull it up into his hands and place it on his belt next to his own blade. Windu pulled out his comlink and sent a message to the Jedi Temple.
Master Syndraulic, please send over a dozen Temple guards. We've lost some of our brothers.
A number of clone troopers stood in the room with Master Windu. As he walked over to the body of the Chancellor, he ushered the clones over and requested that they get a sheet to place over the Chancellor's deceased body out of respect. It was all part of the act, after all. Within a number of minutes, the Chief of Jedi Security, Master Syndraulic, and 12 Temple guards would arrive at the Chancellor's office. Mace felt something off about one of these guards. They came in with 3 pods. The Temple guards picked up Agan Kolar, Kit Fisto, and Sacy Tin, putting them each into separate pods and covering them up. Mace Windu stopped one of the passing guards and dismissed the rest. Windu asked the guard why he was conflicted. There were a dark aura surrounding him, and the death of the Chancellor brought it to the forefront of this guard's mind. The Temple guard stumbled over his words, to which Syndraulic requested that the guard remove his helmet, which was technically breaking his oath to being a Temple guard. Syndraulic felt tension too. When the helmet was removed, they both looked at a Pa'un Jedi, and before either of them could ask a question, the Jedi whipped out his blade and slashed Master Syndraulic across the eye and kicked him to the ground. The clones reacted to this, raising their blasters, and the few Temple guards who weren't pushing pods turned around. Windu ignited his own weapon immediately and smashed it against the blade of the guard. When the other Temple guards got back in the room, they ignited their weapons and demanded that he cease hostility. Though the Pa'un was not going to. He was a talented duelist. He had to be to become a Jedi Temple guard, and he began to fight with the Master of the Order. Windu's finesse was more than enough. He put the guard on the back pedal and slashed through the guard's double-bladed weapon, and then using the Force, propelled him into the wall behind. The Jedi looked at Windu, unable to move as other Temple guards came up to him and subdued him. Windu released his grip in the Force and deignited his weapon, and turned back over to Syndraulic to make sure he was alright. Mace had to stay inside the Chancellor's office for the longer part of the night. He requested that whichever available Jedi Masters, wherever they are, be able to return to Coruscant if they could. Jedi Masters Obi-Wan Kenobi, Plo Koon, and Yoda were the most readily available, all making their way back for Coruscant. Plo Koon would be the first one back, being that he was on Cato Neimoidia, which was within the Galactic Core, along with Coruscant. When everything was handled inside the Republic Executive Building, Plo and Mace would return to the High Council to discuss everything that happened. Mace would explain the entire situation to Master Plo and inform him about the lie he created to ensure the Jedi didn't suffer for facing down the Chancellor, and in reality, killing him. Plo didn't like the idea at all. He understood what Windu was doing, and he believed that what Windu did was best for the possible outcome for the Jedi Order itself. However, it wasn't exactly the most Jedi way of handling it. On another note, Plo was extremely disappointed in Skywalker's lack of resilience and his inability to see how wrong he really was. Plo told Windu that while Skywalker would never be again a Jedi, he would approach Skywalker and discuss what his actions were for. Windu understood it was Plo and it was who he was. He just wouldn't let something so ridiculous slip away without confronting it. His actions were not himself. There had to be something else pushing him to act in the way he did, that being Skywalker. With the death of the 3 council members, the Jedi could at the very least relax with the idea of the Sith, being that Sidious was dead and Maul were captured, were gone. There was no existing Sith remaining in the galaxy, and with that the only known dark side conspirators captured. They could finally bring an end to their ancient rival in the Force. Plo and Windu's discussion would end in the two of them truly understanding what else was at stake here. Windu breaking the computer terminal with all the security data on it would force the Senate to trust Windu's word. Being that clone troopers who served the Chancellor were present, their word would also favor the Jedi. The way Windu would frame it is as simple as, the Jedi went to talk to the Chancellor. When they got there, Anakin and Sheev were talking, but the Jedi were present to question if Palpatine would give up his emergency powers of the Republic. Windu's genius was shaping it to show that Palpatine wasn't going to give over his powers, and Skywalker got angry, believing that because of his closeness with the Chancellor, he would be able to elicit himself a better role within the Republic, shaping Skywalker into a power-hungry individual who then killed the Chancellor and then the 3 Jedi, because he didn't get what he wanted, which tragically for Anakin was something that could be highlighted throughout his career as a Jedi. There are many Jedi who could back up Anakin's negligence towards the Jedi Code. For Windu, it was all a matter of just making sure the Republic believed what he had to say. Syndrellic, on the other hand, was trying to see if there were any other Temple guards on his team that thought allying themselves with the Sith was a cool idea. It turned out that the Paul-Un Jedi was originally going to join the Chancellor and become the Grand Inquisitor for the dark side, serving him as a loyal servant with the promise of safety within this new empire. With Palpatine dead, he took out his resentment for the Jedi with the wrong Jedi Master. When Plo arrived to the prison, he found Skywalker's cell, considering it was guarded by 4 temple guards, all of them remaining still and letting Master Plo enter the cell. Anakin was sitting silently, weight sat under his eyelids, and pain could be felt in his heart. Plo sat down on the steps leading into the cell and looked at Anakin. Skywalker took a deep breath and asked how much trouble he was in. Plo knew the truth of the situation. He knew what Windu was doing, but he also knew what Skywalker did. Plo simply told Anakin that it would be decided by the Republic. He was no longer a Jedi. However, Plo wanted to know why he did it. Skywalker looked down. He was no longer a Jedi, so there was no real reason for him to hide what it was he was trying to accomplish, so he told Master Plo that he was deceived by a lie. He was convinced that Palpatine could help him with his struggles, and he fell for it. Anakin, in his solitude for the last several hours, ran through the situation over and over again, realizing how truly tragic his mistakes were, and what those mistakes caused him and his own life. Plo asked Anakin what he needed help with, to which Skywalker expressed having visions of his wife dying in childbirth. When the words echoed out of his mouth, he sat quietly for a moment, realizing that he just fully exposed himself to a master on the High Council. Anakin leaned back in his seat, as Plo sat there in silence, taking in the words that Skywalker just said to him. How could Anakin have a wife and a child on the way? That didn't make any sense. But in a way it did. Plo told Skywalker that he should have trusted the Force, as that trying to stop fate from running its course often forced it to happen. Anakin, not realizing, looked at Plo confusedly, to which the Jedi Master expressed that Anakin should have heeded the words spoken to him by Master Yoda. The Council always had his best intentions in mind, they just never expressed it through the best of ways. Windu had faith in Skywalker until he had to defend himself from an attack made by Skywalker. Anakin frowned. He knew he messed up, and there was truthfully no way out of it. A couple of days would pass by after Windu would tell his version of the story, and Skywalker would accept it, without rebuting it or trying to make anyone believe anything other than what was said. The reason being is that there was no world in which him winning against Palpatine would have a better impact on the galaxy. Who knows what could have happened had Anakin just joined the Dark Lord. His embarrassment helped him see his failure in that moment. He should have allowed Windu to do what it was that he did on the Invisible Hand to Dooku. Or even more than that, Skywalker should have just never listened to Palpatine. Being that everything was now revealed, it all made sense, but in the moment, it absolutely made no sense at all. Anakin's misplaced trust in Palpatine cost him everything he ever wanted, and in reality, Windu would never let Anakin live that down. Trying to kill him was the last thing he should have done. Maybe Anakin was aiming for Windu's arm, but it didn't matter because it was a threat nonetheless. The Senate would grind to a halt without Palpatine, but voices from the delegation of 2,000 would speak out, and those voices would be duly supported by the Republic. The main voice of the bunch was Senator Mon Mothma from Chandrila. Being that Bail Organa from Alderaan was so close to the Jedi, he couldn't feasibly become the next Chancellor, and with Padme's relationship with Skywalker being revealed, she would have to step down from her seat in the Senate. Padme's handling of the situation was strong, stronger than most would have been. When she eventually gave birth, she returned to Naboo without her husband. She firstly couldn't believe that Anakin, firstly, he supported the Chancellor, and secondly, because of according to first account witnesses, he killed 3 Jedi Masters. Sure, it was an incredible feat, but it wasn't something she wanted around her new family. She knew that Anakin was a good man, but he committed a crime, and because of his actions, it cost her her position in the Senate, and it cost her a husband and a father to their children. All wouldn't be lost for Padme though. Ahsoka, learning of these events circulating around Skywalker, would immediately assume the Council was wrong. But with clone troopers from the event backing Master Windu, it was obvious that nothing would be changed. After delivering Maul to the Jedi from Mandalore, Ahsoka joined Padme on Naboo, deciding that since Anakin was as close to a brother as she would have ever had, she would assist in raising his children. Obi-Wan would be absolutely devastated over the news. Hearing and learning of Skywalker's treachery would haunt him, but before he and Yoda ever returned to Coruscant, Anakin was convicted and placed into carbon freezing for the remainder of time, locked away with Maul in a maximum security prison located in an undisclosed location. Known only by the Chancellor and by the Jedi, the Spire on Stegon Prime would be the final resting place for Darth Maul, the Pawn Jedi Temple Guard, and the Chosen One himself. Without Order 66, the Jedi would be forced to back away from the Galactic Republic by Chancellor Mothma. The Clone Wars would come to an end, and the clone troopers would be treated fairly as citizens of the Republic for their acts of valor and courage during the Clone Wars. With the Sith finally extinct, the galaxy could continue to rebuild without the fear of desolation, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is our story. Again, special thanks to Bender Wells, Tiger Boy, Darth Revan, Pimp Daddy Bane, The Last Jedi, Apollo, Jedi Sloth, Mad Manic Studios, Anakin 003, Lemon Knight, Flan Vassis, the man with 3 first names, George Wright, and Lord Deadwing for supporting the channel. Smash the like button, you know what to do. Let's talk about this because I already know what's coming. I know. The Chosen One just got put in jail for the rest of his life. Look, I get it. I know what I did. There's no feasible way that, first of all, there's no feasible way that Anakin's beating Windu at that point in his life. He couldn't beat Obi-Wan. He's not beating Windu. First of all. Second of all, at a later point, yes. At a later point in his life, yes, Anakin would have beat Windu. But at that point in his life, he wouldn't beat Windu, especially using the dark side. Windu, according to George Lucas, fair and square, beat Sidious. That's it. He beat Sidious according to the creator of Star Wars. So, I'm running with that. That's usually what I run with the story and the scenario. Windu was not going to lose to Anakin. Yes, he may have just fought Sidious, but he's not losing to Anakin. And he's going to let Anakin be angry and use that to his advantage. Vapad is going to allow him to just take full advantage of Anakin and beat the snot out of him. So now that we got that covered, Windu manipulating. Windu is a smart character. He's a really smart character. And there's deleted scenes in which he expresses his faith in Anakin, and that's something that I was using as a reference for this. It's one of the shorts that I put on this channel. I put it on the channel for a reason, because it's something that it's just about his character. And so Windu, being who he is, he's going to frame it in the best way he can for the Jedi, because that's his loyalties to the Jedi. At that point, I believe he was ready to just move away from the Republic, and he was kind of done with the Chancellor anyways, so he would frame it all the way he wanted to, and that's what I wanted to go with here. But there's consequences for your actions, and that's what I had to go with. Anakin, according to Windu's report, killing Masters Agan Kolar, Stacey Tin, and Kit Fisto, and of course the Chancellor would get convicted of, treason, and he'd put it away forever, because, that's kind of a no-no. That's a no-no thing. So, it's not exactly a happy ending for Anakin, but I can't always give him a happy ending. I know everyone else likes to do that, but this story doesn't elicit that for Anakin. Him trying to fight Windu is the worst thing he could have ever done. Windu just has too much power, and he's just too smart and talented to just, in the scenario that Anakin beats Windu, yeah, that's a different story, but he's not beating him here, And I always try and be realistic with these stories, and that's the truth. It's not everyone's favorite truth, but it's the truth. And I know this video is a bit shorter, but there's not really much you can do with it other than what happens after Revenge of the Sith, especially with Anakin being locked away. So, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. I love you all. Spread the love, and always remember, my friends, may the Force be with you.